Welcome back to Something from the Margin of My Bible. What I want to do this week for the first margin note is to share with you what I put at the beginning of a Bible book. Some of you have a Bible with plenty of space at the top, and as I've said on these episodes, the introductory episodes, these are meant to be about 2 to 3 minutes. This one may be a little bit longer because I want to share with you several things, and I'm going to use the book of Exodus just by way of example. If you have a lot of room near the top of your Bible around the name of the book, there are several things you can include. Of course, you can include whatever you want. Some people like to put famous quotes about the book. Some people like to put maybe a nickname for the book. But at the beginning of each book of the Bible, in the Bible that I'm putting my notes in, I have at least 5 things and then a couple of things off to the side. But I have a list of the 5 things that are in the book. And so again, I'm going to use the book of Exodus by way of example. The first thing I put is the words written by. Who wrote the book? And Exodus, of course, was written by Moses, so I just simply have written by Moses. Now, there are certain books of the Bible, of course, where that's we don't know who wrote it, or maybe 2 different people wrote it. Maybe Psalms, for example, you have several authors. And if you also can find a passage, and I would argue elsewhere in the Bible, where it says something like, these are the words of Moses, and it's, from Exodus chapter 12, or I'm making this up, it might be good to put a cross-reference there, but at least put the author, written by Moses. The second thing I put is, who's it written to? And I just put the word to, T-O. And for Exodus, I just simply have Israel initially. Of course, it's written for everybody over the course of time. But Israel initially, of course, is the audience because this contains the 10 Commandments, contains the construction of the tabernacle, commandments concerning that, and other things. Number 3, I put the date of writing. Now, you may not care about this, and a lot of books of the Bible, I don't say it doesn't matter, but it may not make as big a difference, but I like to have it just for one thing, frankly, to keep from having to go over to a commentary to find it. So for Exodus, I have these words, likely written during wilderness wanderings. And then I have the approximate dates of the wilderness wanderings, 1440 to 1405 BC. Now, of course, you don't have to have the actual dates there, but it is at least helpful to know the circumstances. So again, the first 3 things are written by, and using Exodus example, written by Moses, to Israel initially, and then the date, likely written during the wilderness wanderings, 1440 to 1405 BC. Then I have the purpose or purposes of the book. And of course, with most books of the Bible, you could have a lot of purposes. I try to narrow it down to just 1 or 2. Exodus, I have 2. I have number 1, to give a history of God's people coming out of slavery and into freedom. A history of God's people coming out of slavery and into freedom. And then number 2, to give the foundational law of the covenant God made with the people. So that kind of divides the book in half also. If you think of the outline of Exodus, that kind of is it. You have the Exodus in the first handful of chapters, and then the law in the second half. Then the final thing I put are where it stands within the biblical record. I write whether it's an Old Testament book or New Testament book. Hopefully you know that anyway, but I still write it there. It only takes, half an inch to write that. And then the Bible periods in which it's found. There's a book written a number of years ago by Andy Kaiser called The 15 Periods of Bible History. I highly recommend that you get a copy of that book. It's a very short book. You literally could read the entire book in an hour. But the best part of the book is the chart where he lists the Bible in 15 periods. And so when I come to a book of the Bible, I like to write which period is found in that section. Exodus, there are 2. The Egyptian period, which is chapters 1 through 14, and then the wilderness wanderings, chapters 15 through 40. Now, there are other things I put at the beginning of the book of the Bible. I might put a nickname. I might put key words. We'll do that in another video at some point, another podcast at some point. But these few things are very helpful to have right at the top. Who wrote it? Who was it written to? What was the date of it? What's the purpose of it? And then where does it stand in the biblical record? We hope that you'll subscribe and listen. Hope this helps you. And we'll do other books of the Bible from time to time. I just chose Exodus, frankly, because I was getting ready to record. It's the one I turned to. And hopefully this encourages you in your Bible study. And we'll see you again next time on Something from the Margin of My Bible.